Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Wednesday. I hope you all are doing good. And as the title says, I do have urgent news. Hey, I had some good news the other day from Michigan, but this is not very good news. In fact, this is very bad news. And that is that the Michigan Senate is going to have on the agenda tomorrow at 12 p.m. Now, if you're watching this tomorrow, that would be today. The 5th of June, 5 gun control bills. These are pretty heavy duty. These are draconian. And we're going to get into the brief summary of them right at the beginning. And then I'm going to kind of go through these and see what you all think. So nice to see all of you. Real quick, before we get into this, I'd like to thank all of you for the many ways you help support the channel. Thank you to all of my supporters over on Patreon, which again, I'm taking time away from work yet again today to do this. I was out there digging some old bushes up and disposing of them and planting some new shrubs. I think I'm dried off a little bit, but here you guys go. Real quick shout out. See, you can see I was working today. That's all genuine mud from today. And thank you to all my YouTube channel members, where you guys get access to extra emojis, some bonus content, and I'm going to have something for you guys tonight, actually, as well as my supporters who leave super chats, which if we reach our goal of 5 tonight, I will do a live Q&A here in the chat when we're done breaking this news, as well as my local supporters, which is a different site, censorship-free. Make sure you check it out. Links are down there in the description. Now I'm going to cut right to the chase for those of you who don't have a lot of time. And let me tell you this is a long-form live stream where we're going to discuss this. But I do plan on going through all of these videos one at a time. Each of these subject matters will have their own smaller video throughout the next week, as I'm going to make a prediction. These get rushed right through and passed through the committee while on their way to the Senate floor, possibly becoming new gun control in Michigan. So I have the official agenda schedule right here. This is from the Michigan Senate. These are Michigan state gun control laws with Senator Stephanie Chang, the chair. We'll get into her in just a little bit. Here's a location of this. In fact, just go to my Twitter X. I reposted a Great Lakes gun rights tweet. So shout out to them and my friend Nevada Liberty. Make sure you check him out as well. That gave me the heads up on this while I was working earlier, so you guys can see the document on my feed over there on X. So among the agenda items are Senate Bill 224, Senator Polahanky, weapons, other, manufacture, sale, or possession of bump stocks, prohibit. Now hold on a minute. This bill isn't even really going to ban just bump stocks. It's going to ban a lot more than that. So stay tuned. Huge recent court victories with FRTs, yeah, those will be gone, plus many other things. So we'll get into that. Senate Bill 225, yet again by Senator Polahanky. Now look, these are not nice people. They call these people many things. I'm trying to be nice, but some people even call her Senator Polahanky Panky. Yeah. Senate Bill 225 from Polahanky Panky is weapons, concealed pistols in certain state buildings, prohibit. Yep, they're wanting to go after the CPO holders yet again. This is stuff that didn't pass at the end of last session, but guess what? Unlike Republicans who control the House, hey, I'm just going to call a spade, guys. There's many good ones. I'll give you guys some stories when we get through these about just last weekend. I talked to some of our best state representatives, including our favorite representative, Jamie Thompson. She's a good one, and others, but there's something wrong with the leadership in the Michigan House because they won't do anything to try to repeal gun control when they have the majority there, but the Senate is still controlled by Democrats, and oh yeah, they're trying to rush this stuff through. So Senate Bill 226, Senator Bayer. She used to be the head of the anti-2A caucus for the Senate. I think she still is. Weapons, firearms in certain state buildings prohibit. So we're going to get into where you'll be banned from concealed carry, and with a permit, you'll be banned from open carry. Just banned, and more banned. Senate Bill 331, Senator McMorrow. Here's another real beauty. Weapons, firearms, requirements for all firearm components to contain serial numbers. Now, this is what they call the ghost gun. Ooh, scary. No, a tyrannical government's what's scary. Why are they worried about people making their own firearms? You tell me in the chat. And shout out to the replay crew. Let me know in the comments if you're watching later. But this is actually more draconian than that too, as we're going to cover a little bit as the night goes on. This isn't just making your own, but this could mess with old family heirlooms, old guns made before 1968, all kinds of stuff, and this is thick. And then followed up by Senate Bill 332, Senator McMorrow, weapons, firearms, sentencing guidelines updates. Yep, that's where they cuff you and stuff you, and hopefully your dog's in good order, and hopefully they don't Brian Malinowski you or Ruby Ridge or you. Oh no, this is serious stuff, guys. Lots of prison sentences involved with these. Like you could probably spend the rest of your life in prison if you violate all of these. So of course they have to update the sentencing guidelines, make you afraid of your own shadow, afraid to live, afraid to be an American, and well, this is what a tyrannical government is. When the people fear the government, there's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. And yeah, they don't fear the people at all. In fact, you're supposed to fear them. And this is a draconian tyrannical government right here. So this is going to be at 12 o'clock, high noon. The location of this committee hearing is room 403. That's the 4th floor of the Capitol building. It's located at 100 North Capitol Avenue, Lansing, Michigan, 48933. They're going to have a hearing. Okay, that's what's guaranteed. It's on the agenda. Now, sometimes they will switch the agenda around at the last second. They could add more to it tomorrow. I don't know. If I were to guess, they'll probably vote on these either tomorrow or very soon thereafter. They will probably pass them favorably in the Michigan Senate. And a lot of you are thinking, yeah, but the Republicans control the House. Or a lot of people say, but we control the House. Well, who is we, though? And who's they, though? I mean, we, it's like, I know a lot of my viewers tend to vote Republican more often than not. I think that's fair to say, but many of you don't vote at all. And some people are just so disenchanted by all of it. You're like, why do I even care anymore? Trust me, I get all of it. The latter's actually going through my head more and more every day, but I do want to get this news out to you. Well, if you remember in last session, when the Democrats had the trifecta, then Michigan House Minority Leader Matt Hall, he voted for gun control and made it a safe vote for 4 or 5 other ones to vote for gun control in the Michigan House. So the Michigan House, yeah, they're controlled by Republicans, but the Speaker of the House is on the record and he has voted gun control. Now, it's my hope that he's changed his ways. And I still do hope that he's changed his anti-2A ways. But I haven't seen any evidence of that because, you see, I've had representatives on this channel, like Representative Jim DeSena, who put together a 3-bill package to repeal red flag laws in the Michigan House. And at the very least, that would have been a big statement. At the very most, maybe it could have gone over to the Senate and maybe one of the Democrats could have voted for it. Probably not. There's almost no way that would happen. However, it would have showed us that, hey, this is different now, though. The Republicans are in control of the Michigan House. But you know what I see? The more things change, the more they stay the same. And they haven't put any meaningful pro-2A, or what that really means is repealing gun control bills. None of those have committee hearings. Maybe you want to call Committee Chair Sarah Leitner and ask her, why haven't you had a hearing yet for Representative Jim DeSena's red flag repeal bills? Every Republican voted against those in the last session. What's the big deal? You all got elected and ran as pro-Second Amendment. But no, here's the thing. As of right now, and my hopes are high. They really are. I'm trying to be positive, but my optimism's low because I see the Democrats and Chair Stephanie Chang. I'm going to show you her website in a minute, and you'll know exactly what she's about. They're following their agenda. They promised their voters, they said, if you vote for us, we'll ban every last gun. We'll ban them 6 days from Sunday. We'll make this the most jackbooted, thug, tyrannical government possible. And people voted for them. And guess what? That's what they're doing right now. So when you say to yourself, there is no way that this could pass the Michigan House of Representatives. Well, sure it could. Why wouldn't it? Remember, Republicans, including the current Speaker of the House, Matt Hall, voted for gun control in last session. Now, if you're watching, Matt, or any of you and yours are watching, man, I hope you've changed, dude. But here's how we can see that you've changed. You need to stop all this gun control in the House, and then you need to start repealing. So here's what I'm going to urge all of you to do. You can go to this hearing tomorrow, okay? And you should if that's what you want to do. You should call and write your senator, of course. I was just hanging out with my Senator Joe Bellino just this last Saturday. He's very good on the Second Amendment. I'm not worried about his vote, but I'm going to call him just to make sure. You know what I mean? I'm going to call. So call your senators. But here's what you really want to do. You want to call your Michigan representative, especially if they're a Republican, and remind them that if any of this stuff ends up on committee and makes it through to the House, you and all your friends are going to make sure that they're out of a job if they even think about voting for this. Look, we're to the point now where it's not just if you vote on it. If there's any Michigan Republican in the House that's even considering voting on this, all right, they need to put on alert that we're going to be out there advocating that somebody beats them in the next primary. That's just how you have to do this. Now, I anticipate there's many Michigan House Republicans that are adamantly against this. But keep in mind, the Republicans hold a very narrow majority in the Michigan House, and we do have a past record of more than enough Republicans voting for gun control, where if they were to bandwagon on some of these, this stuff could become law. So I want to make that clear one more time. This is not me just blowing smoke and being like, oh, well, yeah, it could pass the Senate, but nothing will happen. No, I certainly hope nothing will happen. But don't bet on it. If you guys all fall asleep and just bet on that the Republicans are just going to, you can't do that. You have to advocate constantly for the Second Amendment, all right? So again, one more time for all of you joining, welcome. I'm going to do like probably 5 shorter videos in the coming week going through each of these one at a time. But they're basically trying to ban bump stocks. I'm just giving you real quick because a lot of new people just came in. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Glad to see you here and good to see all the familiar faces as well. So ban bump stocks, but that's the first one we're going to go over in about 5 minutes here. And yeah, that bans a lot more than that. They're going to ban concealed carry of pistols in certain state buildings. And they're also going to ban open carry or possession, period, from these certain buildings. They're also going to do a requirement for all firearms to have serial numbers, not just ones you built today, but even possibly older family heirlooms and classics and antiques and all kinds of stuff. And then they're going to have to up the sentencing guidelines to make sure that you go to prison for a real long time, because these are real serious crimes in the state of Michigan if they're enacted. Real quick here, I'm going to say hi to the chat. And I see I have a member super chat, which is another perk channel members get from John Crump Live. Member for 47 months. Wow, dude. Thank you for all the support, man. And shout out to the John Crump News channel, John Crump Live. He says, hey, man, nice to see you. And like I said, any super chats come in tonight, I will read. So if you guys want to see this, go to my X feed, okay? If you want to go to my X feed, you'll see this document. I had shared a post from my friends over at Great Lakes Gun Rights. Good organization, by the way, so shout out. And I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to talk about a hangout, a get-together I went to this last weekend, and I talked to some good Michigan representatives, and maybe we can get some of them in our corner to try to snuff this stuff out as fast as we can. I don't know, though. I get an eerie feeling about this because this is the stuff they're hell-bent on. Michigan Senate Bill 224. Can you believe this? I think I jinxed us. I reported on some good breaking news for once with the whole NICS check bypass with the CPL in Michigan. Man, this channel just shoots it straight, guys, and I've got to do what I got to do, you know? I finally had some good news to report, and now this. Can you believe this? I'd believe anything at this point. It starts off with your classic, the people of the state of Michigan enact. I'd like you all to absorb that because that's what that means. The people of the state of Michigan enact. This is we the people against we the people. Now, this goes through and lists all the stuff that's already banned, and this is pretty draconian. I'm going to read it real quick because some people don't even know. A person shall not manufacture, sell, offer for sale, or possess any of the following. Now, this one I'm going to read first is the way it is right now. What's up, Midwest Logger? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. No, dude, you probably heard my little preamble earlier. If not, we're on the same page if you rewind just a few minutes, man. Harry Grimley, you know what I'm talking about. Dale, G23. I got a couple more super chats I'm going to read here in 1 second, guys. A machine gun or firearm that shoots or is designed to shoot automatically more than one shot without manually reloading by a single function of the trigger, a muffler or silencer. Now, these are your NFA items. A bomb or bombshell, a blackjack, slung shot. I think that's a typo, but that's how it's worded. Billy, metallic knuckles, sand club, sandbag, or bludgeon. Did you know that? These are already illegal in Michigan and have been for like 90 years. A blackjack. I guess don't go playing cards too much, right? A slung shot, a billy, metallic knuckles, sand club, sandbag, or bludgeon. Dude, I hear you conservative too, Chris? You know? Look, I'm here for optimism and to encourage you all, but I'm not going to lie to you. I consider too many of you good friends. I've been wanting to swallow that black pill more and more every day living in this awful state. And I'm just putting it to you guys blunt, but I'm still here and I'm trying to fight the good fight. Metallic knuckles, a sand club, a sandbag. Excuse me? You better hope you don't have a flood because apparently a sandbag is illegal in Michigan, or a bludgeon. A device, weapon, cartridge, container, or contrivance, right? Designed to render a person temporarily or permanently disabled by the ejection, release, or emission of a gas or other substance. Now she's going to add in, this is new, a bump stock. Okay. A person who violates the subsection is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment. This is prison, guys, not jail. Of not more than 5 years or a fine of not more than $2,500 or both. Now, we talked about this before. This is if the Hearing Protection Act passes without Section 3. We could run into issues with silencers in Michigan. We're going to see what happens in the Senate. I'm trying to be optimistic about that. But if this sounds familiar, this is amending that same law. But then it goes through and says a person licensed by the Secretary of the Treasury of the United States or the Secretary's delegate to manufacture, sell, or possess a machine gun or a device, weapon, cartridge, container, or contrivance described in subsection 1. So that's the whole tax stamp thing, blah, blah, blah. However, here's the thing. You can't get a tax stamp for a bump stock or for these other devices because here's the new part. This is in bold. This is what they're adding. A bump stock means, now think about, you guys know how a bump stock works by now, right? It uses the recoil of the firearm with you putting a forward pressure on it. The stock slides. That's why there's the one called the slide fire. You know what I mean? And it goes back and forth really fast. And there's like basically a finger rest where you just put your finger in there straight and it makes your finger go back and forth really fast. However, you are still firing one shot per trigger pull. Okay? Per pull of the trigger with a bump stock. You literally are, and the Supreme Court said they are not a machine gun. Now, keep in mind, that United States Supreme Court case still allows, and they even said so in the opinion, that if states want to ban them, they still can. So before everyone says, hold on, we already won bump stocks at the U.S. Supreme Court. Yes, major victory. Trump's bump stock ban was overturned by the Supreme Court. That's on the federal level. All right? If this passes, this will not run afoul of that Supreme Court decision. Now, here's the thing. All of this, everything I'm going to talk about tonight, runs afoul of what's supposed to be the supreme law of the land, which literally says the second time the Constitution was amended, right? 1789, ratified in 1791, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And these are all infringements, and they all violate the Second Amendment. Yet here we are. A bump stock means a device that allows a semi-automatic firearm to shoot more than one shot with a single pull of the trigger by harnessing the recoil energy of the semi-automatic firearm to which the device is affixed, so the trigger resets and continues firing without additional physical manipulation of the trigger by the shooter. Now, this doesn't define how a bump stock literally works, okay? But here's the problem. If you remember back with the Trump bump stock ban, which was done through executive order a few years back, That ban never met the definition anyways. That's how it got overturned by the United States Supreme Court. The problem is you won't get this overturned by the Michigan Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court, yeah, they're basically to the left of Stalin, Lenin, and probably even more left than Karl Marx himself at this point. We have a far-reaching leftist, anti-Second Amendment Michigan Supreme Court. As much as we talk about the politicians, the courts have gone even further left than that in this state. Just so you guys know. But we'll just sue. Good luck. Because this would be state law. And if you look at the way the Michigan courts are set up right now, yeah. This isn't how a bump stock works, but I think a forced reset trigger. I think of pull release triggers. Look, they're going to try to sweep all of this in here. And look, I'm not saying that this meets the definition of those either. Don't mistake what I'm saying. But since this doesn't meet the definition of bump stock, see what I'm saying? That means they're just going to, in my opinion, harness all of this stuff in a binary trigger, they're called, pull release, bump stock, forced reset. They'll probably ban belt loops as part of this on your pants. I mean, for those of you that know, you know, right? Now, B, muffler, they're modifying this now. Wait a minute. Muffler or silencer means one or more of the following. And then they're crossing out letters and putting subsections in here. I'll have to get into this a little further, but the fact that the bolds, the new stuff, I have a feeling we're going to see some more bills pop up soon. And this is just a feeling I have that's going to try to make silencers completely illegal in Michigan if the actual big, beautiful bill passes and the Hearing Protection Act passes. I would bet you a large amount of money that the Democrats in Michigan will most likely retaliate and just completely wipe them off the table 100% of Michigan. I hope that's not true, but don't be surprised if they try. Now, look, guys, these are bills in the Michigan Senate. Yes, the Michigan Republican House does have a very narrow Republican majority. However, in the last session, the Speaker of the House, Matt Hall, and I think about at least 4 or 5 others, voted for gun control, the so-called safe storage, which is very tyrannical. And now we're getting all these MDHHS curriculums and notices to parents, and all this really draconian stuff is still promulgating because, you know, that's how it works on the state level too, right? It's not just the federal government where they pass a law, then the ATF comes through and promulgates all these rules that have full force and effective law. No, they do it the same in the state of Michigan. The same thing. They'll pass a law that says this, and then the MDHHS will chime in, and they'll have their say about it. And then they'll add a whole list of stuff on top of it. Then the Michigan State Police will get involved, and they'll have their interpretation and their additional things. So before you know it, you have one law, and then you end up with dozens of rules that have full force and effective law. Okay? Yeah. So that's your House Bill 224. And this is from Senator Pull the Hanky Panky. Anyone ever heard of her? You don't want to have heard of any of these people. Trust me. Look at these names on here. In my opinion, these are not good people. This is by Senators Pull the Hanky, Chang. Wait, do you guys want to see Stephanie Chang's site? I'll show you in just 1 minute here. Get ready to show your pride, ladies and gentlemen. Are there a lot of prideful people watching right now? Now, the Bible, which to me, that's the only good book. Let's face it. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, those are awesome. But the good book says something about pride, doesn't it? Anybody have any pride you want to? Does anyone like to talk about? Well, we'll show. You'll see what I'm saying in a minute here. Wojno. Jeez. So it starts to make me wonder, trying to pronounce some of these names, what country I even live in. McMorrow, Kleinfeld, and Bayer referred to the Committee on Civil Rights, Judiciary, and Public Safety, and that hearing is tomorrow at noon. They're going to hear these bills tomorrow at noon. So there's your bump stock ban, which could ban whatever it wants. Guys, these are not law right now, okay? These have not even been voted on by the full Senate, but I know how this works. Most bills that are just going to die and go nowhere, they don't get committee hearings. Representative Jim DeSantis' bill, which he's a staunch Pro 2A defender, and he's my friend. I was just hanging out with him last Saturday in real life. And I'm like, dude, what's up with your bills? Why aren't they getting a hearing? He's like, you tell me. I'm like, dude, I'm still advocating for them. Go back and watch this channel. If you're new here or you missed it, me and Representative Jim DeSena talking about his bills that would repeal red flag laws, which now our whole family, it's for the whole house. They've red flagged 7-year-olds. And when they red flag the 7-year-old, they come for all the guns from the parents and everybody. Because again, they passed the law, right? And then all of these bureaucrats, these bureaucratic deep state shadow agencies come in and they change it from, well, it's not just the person anymore. Now it's the whole house. A 7-year-old didn't even own firearms. No one alleged they did. No one alleged they even threatened anyone with a firearm. They were just doing some otherwise unruly behavior. And then they come in and it's the whole house. See, so this stuff, it starts here and then it goes all the way there instantly. Now, if something's not going to really pass, they don't give it a committee hearing. It just gets sent there to die. And that's why I'm very shocked. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm also a bit frustrated. The committee chair, Sarah Leitner, won't give Representative DeSena's red flag repeal the time of day for a hearing. Now, here's what I also want to know. And I want to know because I have a feeling since he's the top Republican, he could make this stuff happen real quick in the House. I want to know why Matt Hall isn't having all of these bills. Why isn't he having Representative Hoadley's pro-Second Amendment bills that would reduce almost all of the restrictions for CPL holders? Where's Representative Hoadley's bills? Why aren't those getting passed through committee? And I want to know why Republicans suck so bad on their messaging. You know what I mean? And I want to know why they're going to act surprised when a lot of people don't even feel like voting anymore. Because you know what? I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. And I like a lot of things with libertarians, but I don't like that party either. You know what I mean? Look, a lot of my friends are Republicans. A lot of my friends are libertarians. But you know what I am? I'm disenchanted with this whole system. That's one big party and you ain't invited. And even if you have an awesome representative or senator, they're going to fight like hell. They're one person. And if there's not enough 2A community behind them, guess what? What can they do about it? And that's really the way it is. But I want to know why the Republicans want to lose. Why they don't care about the 2A community. Why they don't care about the Second Amendment. Now, I'm not saying every last representative because there's some really, really good ones. And a lot of you guys watch this show. And if you're watching, you know you're a good one. But I want to know why the Democrats, they do pass their agenda and they cram it right by your throat. Right down your throat. But the Republicans are like, oh, we'll just sit there and do nothing. Yeah. Oh, great. So, of course, I'm never going to vote Democrat no matter what. But why would you even bother to leave your house? Why would you even bother to care? And I'm not telling you you shouldn't care. I'm really not. But I'm bringing up honest questions. And some people will probably be mad at me that I'm even asking these questions. So if you do like this channel and you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Share it with your friends because you're really not supposed to talk like this. But you know what? That's okay. Because that's why I have my own YouTube channel. I can talk however I want. But here's the problem. Matt Hall and Representative Chairwoman Sarah Leitner, dude, as soon as the Democrats just put up 5 gun control bills, draconian ones in the Michigan Senate, the Michigan House needed to put 5 of them up on their agenda the same day. And they might do it. They might do it. I hope they do. I really do. Encourage your Michigan representatives to not only not let any of this stuff see the light of day in the Michigan House, but then say, where's Representative Jim DeSena's red flag repeal bill? Where's it at? Why isn't it having a hearing? Those are legitimate questions you can and you should be asking. Say, where's Representative Mike Hoadley's CPL holder restrictions, removing the restrictions? Where's that? Where's that bill? Why is that dying in committee right now? And there's others too. Senate bill number 225. This is being heard tomorrow or right around noon. And look, guys, I do want you to call your reps, but tell them, say, what's wrong with you guys? Why aren't we passing pro 2A stuff through the Republican-controlled House? And I hope I'm wrong, but is it because maybe Matt Hall wants some of this stuff to go through the House? He might. He voted for gun control last session. And until I see him vote differently, I have no choice but to question whether he's pro-Second Amendment or not. It's real simple, Speaker Hall. Real simple. put some Pro 2A stuff through committee, get it to the House floor, vote on it. Now we'll have a voting record. Now we can sit there and compare and contrast. Right now, last time I checked, he voted for gun control. Last time I checked this session, he ain't doing nothing for the Second Amendment. Hey, last time I checked. Now, here's the problem, and I hate this crap. This part drives me nuts. And then we're going to get right to where it's going to be banned. They cross out he or she. Look, he or she. You can't say he or she anymore in the state of Michigan. No, it has to be gender neutral. What's your gender? I don't know. Nobody knows. What's a woman? Nobody knows. How could you possibly know? Yeah, it's an adult female person. Duh. But no, yeah, they cross out he or she and put the parent or legal guardian. And you know what I've noticed? And this is getting on my nerves too. If you guys don't mind, do you guys mind me calling a spade tonight? I hope not. Even most of these Republicans' bills that are coming out, conservative Republicans are putting out bills, and all their bills cross out he or she and put in the parent or guardian. This is sick. There's something deep state going on behind the scenes. Ask your representative, your Republican representative, why does their bill have he or she crossed out? I know what the answer is. They're going to say, oh, the Office of Shubidinabida National Pressure, because there's so many acronyms and so many shadow offices that this stuff actually has to go through before it becomes a law. Oh, yeah, you thought a bill became a law, didn't you? By your representative introduces it, then it goes to committee, then it gets passed through, then it goes to the House or the Senate, whatever, then it passes the other chamber, then the governor signs it or vetoes it. Well, yeah, that does happen, but there's all these groups behind the scenes that are like, oh, well, I'm not the one that crossed out he or she. Look, these Democrats are going to do that on purpose, but I'm noticing Republicans' bills now have he or she crossed out. And I'm sick and tired of that. People aren't it. Look, you're a man or you're a woman. You're a boy or you're a girl. And look, this life's short and there's lots of problems. And I'm just getting sick and tired of dealing with all these people like, oh, you're an it, you're a they, you're a them, you're a zer. No, that's garbage. That's literally communist garbage. And this is in all these bills, and it's even in the Republican bills. Oh, well, this one shadowy office that has a 3-letter acronym that nobody's even heard of and you don't even vote for them, they just go through and change all that. I thought I was supposed to live in a country and a state where legislators made law. So I would also pressure your representatives and senators that are conservatives and say, why are you crossing he, she out of here? Am I the only one that's getting on my nerves or not? It's just stupid. All right, so this is for your CPL. This is Senate Bill 225. Weapons conceal pistols in certain state buildings. Let me get to this part. I don't want to read all of it. I'm just trying to think of a quick way to. Okay, so here's the places where you can't carry: a public or private child care center or daycare center, public or private child caring institution, or public or private child placing agency. Then there's schools with the exemption of picking up your child. Like, all this stuff's the way it's been for a long time. I'll just skim through it real quick. A place where their primary source of revenues from alcohol. So you could say a bar or a restaurant, I guess, that sells more alcohol than food. Any property or facility owned or operated by a church, synagogue, mosque, temple. Okay. An entertainment facility with a seating capacity of 2,500 or more. A hospital, a dormitory or classroom of a community college or university. Look, that stuff's the way it's been for a long time. Here's what they're adding in bold. The Michigan State Capitol building. The Anderson House Office building. The Bensfield Senate Office building. Now, there are bans currently in the Michigan Capitol building from the Capitol Commission, which are appointed and unelected bureaucrats that are supposed to keep track of getting the lawn mowed, the shoveling of the snow, and preserving the paintings, painting the walls, sweeping the floor. You get what I'm saying, right? Trimming the shrubs outside. Which, by the way, their shrubs don't look that good. If they hired me and my company, but I wouldn't even want to work for these people. Trust me. They look a lot better. I'm just going to say, because I did some good work earlier today. But I digress. Yeah, they're the ones that have banned carry in the Capitol by a commission rule. This would make it a law. a lot harder to get rid of. The Anderson House office building, it would be illegal, so you couldn't go to your state capitol. So here's the choice you'd have. You have to decide, do I want to exercise my First Amendment or my Second Amendment? Because you can't do both. No, you don't have the ability to, while armed, while exercising the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? You can't exercise that while peaceably assembling, while having freedom of speech, while having freedom of association, freedom to gather, to peacefully protest, freedom to petition your government for redress of grievance. These are all core things in the First Amendment. The First Amendment's very important. And a lot of people say it's the most important, and it is, and I love it, but the second's just a little more important because it was put there not for if, but for when. They come for all the rest. And now you have to decide, am I going to put down my gun to open my mouth? Or am I just going to sit at home and do nothing because, hey, I can't go to the Capitol building anymore? That's where these hearings happen, see? So if you wanted to go to the hearing, you see where this is all heading? If you wanted to go to the hearing for more gun control, you'd have to disarm yourself. And Lansing's a very dangerous city, a very high crime area. And like literally the Second Amendment was put there to protect you from all kinds of like crazy people and evil people, especially including your own tyrannical government. So you have a tyrannical government. You need to go there and you're trying to peacefully protest. You're trying to petition your government for redress of grievance, which on a small scale, all that means is telling your representative or your senator, I'm pissed off and this is BS. You need to do something about it. To speak to people, to go there just to pray. Remember, they can't establish that religion's banned from there either. You know what I mean? Look, there's so many aspects of the First Amendment, but you have to choose whether you're doing that or carrying a gun. Just like Washington, D.C. Yes, Dale, you're completely correct. And then the Bensfield Senate office building, that's where your senators work. I've been to all three of these many, many times. Now, I'm going to tell you something interesting. The Bensfield Senate building does not have a rule, from what I understand right now, prohibiting firearms for concealed carry. I know for sure. I think you can. I'm not giving you legal advice. But the Anderson House office building, Speaker Tate, last session, made a rule that prohibited everybody from being able to conceal carry in there, including staff. Well, guess what the Republican Speaker of the House has done? He's relaxed the part where staff can now carry and CPL holders, but not the general public. If you're not staff, if you're not part of a permitted whatever, so, hey. He made it a little less worse. This would make it a law for all three buildings. Now, that's 225. And you guys are saying, well, I'll just open carry. No, you won't. Here's why you won't do that. Senate Bill 226, also getting heard in committee tomorrow in the Michigan Senate. This is chief sponsor, introduced by Senator Bayer, Rosemary Bayer, Senator Panky, Senator Chang, Senator Wojno, McMorrow, and Kleinfeld, referred to the Committee on Civil Rights. Judiciary and Public Safety, it's being heard tomorrow at noon, or today at noon if you're watching this on replay. This is going to go through and say that you can't possess a firearm. So now this bill is actually banning the out-and-out possession, except as otherwise provided in subsection 9. A person shall not possess a firearm on the premises of any of the following: the Michigan State Capitol building, the Anderson House office building, the Bensfield Senate office building. If you've ever been to the Michigan Capitol, the Capitol building's here. Across the street here is the Anderson House office building, and across the street over here, kind of next to it, if you will, is the Senate Bensfield building. You can see them all, from each other, but they are three separate buildings. So just keep that in mind. Now, here's subsection 9. Here's your exceptions. Everyone always waits for that. Hold on. Subsection 9 Subsection 8 does not apply to any of the following. So this is all the new bold font here. A person who owns or is employed by or contracted by an entity described in subsection 8 if the possession of that firearm is to provide security services for that entity. A peace officer. Or B, now this is if you're providing security services. And trust me, I know this sounds super cute. I get it. Some people joke when they say stuff like this. I've had a lot of people say, well, I'll just tell them that I'm concealed carrying or carrying otherwise for my own personal security. No. You have to be a bona fide security agency. All right? Just wanted to tell you guys this. This is what this means. To provide security services for that entity. A peace officer. B, a person carrying a concealed pistol. If that person meets both of the following conditions. Both, not one, both. A is licensed to carry a concealed pistol. And a lot of people are thinking, I'm a CPL holder, I'm exempt. Also, you have to qualify with subsection II. Is carrying the concealed pistol while that person is serving as a member of the Michigan House of Representatives or Michigan Senate. Wait, what's this? 2 classes of people? We're not supposed to live in the caste system, are we? Wait, you can't have a law for that's different. Well, that's what this is right here. If it's a legislator, a current sitting representative or senator that has a CPL, they'd be exempt. But not you. The way they're writing this, from their standpoint. Rules for thee, but not for me. Plebe. Keep paying your taxes. Keep paying those taxes, plebe. They already have security. They already have the sergeant at arms. They already have the Michigan Senate Police. You want to know how I know about the Michigan Senate Police? I actually know all about them. They're the ones that are determined 2A EDU in this channel, and all of us, we're not even media. So I know all about the Senate Police. The Senate Police not only provide physical security, but they're also the arbiters of the First Amendment, because the First Amendment also covers freedom of the press. A YouTube channel that's gotten more views than anybody in the last several years on Michigan Second Amendment things. No, this isn't the press. Our voice doesn't matter. That's okay, though. That's okay, because I don't even want to be part of the fake news and the real media. And I'm actually like, in a way, I'm like, good. I'm glad you denied me, because I didn't want to do it anyways, but I was testing the waters. Senator Eric Nesbitt, who I just hung out with literally last Saturday, he invited me to be his special guest. It was a way to work around this BS they're doing, to cover the State of the State address. And hopefully you guys like that video that I did. But oh yeah, these people are protected in these buildings with armed security, with people and their guns that you pay for. You pay for those guns for the House sergeants and for the Senate police. Oh yeah. And you pay the salary of Senators Bayer, Polahanky, Chang, Wojno, McMurrow, Kleinfeld, all of them. You pay for the bullets in their guns. You pay for the metal detectors. They're not metal detectors. They're way more advanced than that. They're advanced weapon systems. They can even predict pre-crime when you're coming near the property. They're so advanced. Oh, yeah. And guess what? House Republicans last session voted for, and many of them, not all of them, a lot of them voted no. Trust me. But some of them voted for that budget that funded all of the advanced weapon screening. So, again, one more time, man. I hope that the Republican-controlled Michigan House will stop all of this in the House, and it won't become law, but I'm not convinced, because I've just seen too much of this in the last few years. And so far, I don't see a whole lot that's giving me optimism. Representative DeSena, yeah, he wants his red flag repeal right now, having a hearing. And I think I'm going to have him on this channel as a guest soon. My favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson, just got done talking to her in real life, face-to-face, about the Second Amendment. Dude, she's a cool lady. She's super pro 2A. She's ready to get in there and vote for some of this stuff in the House. Representative Will Brook, he talked about the Second Amendment in his little speech that he gave. Look, there's some that I literally, that's why I go to these events, to talk to these people in real life. Senator Nesbitt, he's on board. He's in the minority, though. He's the minority leader of the Michigan Senate. Joe Bellino. I mean, Senator Joe Bellino. But yeah, this sets up a dual class of people. Rules for thee, but not for me. You guys do know that, right? You did know that. Some of you probably saw my video I did in the past on here. The Michigan Senate Police are the arbiters of the First Amendment for freedom of the press in the state of Michigan. I got some super chats I want to read real quick. Then we're going to get into Senate Bill 331 and 332. Mike McClune, member for 47 months. That's a long time, man. Thank you. And nice to see you. And he's listening along at work. Well, shout out to everyone who's either working now or watching on replay. And hopefully you have a good evening, sir. Drew in Oregon with a super chat. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you, man. Says, thanks for what you do for the 2A community. Well, you're welcome. And I appreciate it, dude. I'm not doing much, obviously. I mean, I'm trying to... Obviously, I'm not very effective with all of this stuff here going on the committee for the Democrat-controlled Senate, and I can't get enough people rallied together to get Representative Jim DeSantis' red flag law repeal bills a fair hearing in the Michigan House. I mean, but I appreciate it, man. I'm trying, you know. Robin Sage with a super chat. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Says, thank you. Fight, fight, fight. Call your rep and your reps. Yeah, look, these are all Senate bills right now. They're going to the Senate committee hearing tomorrow. If you guys are watching on Thursday, it's today. And like I said earlier when I started this, I will break these down and do like 5 to 7 minute videos on each of these bills. I just wanted to get out there right now in case someone wants to go to the Senate meeting tomorrow to testify. All right. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. But get a hold of your Michigan reps too, not just your senators, because the House could stop this. I hope the House is going to stop this. But like I said earlier, I can't be convinced when you've had the Speaker of the House and like 5 other ones voted for gun control just in last session. I hope they've changed their ways. I've been trying to put very positive peer pressure on the Michigan Speaker of the House, Matt Hall. Like, dude, I hope you've changed your ways. I hope you regret your last vote. Maybe you'll make sure that we get some pro 2A bills, committee hearings, get them on the floor, vote them through the House, give me and all my 2A absolutist friends a reason to get excited to come out and vote in the next election. Look, that's my message. I know there's legislators that watch this channel, and that's the message. I want to be excited to come and now look, I have it easy compared to some people. I get it. I do. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I don't have it easy at all. I live in this jackbooted state, and quite frankly, a very anti-Second Amendment country in so many ways. But my representative, Jamie Thompson, she's a lovely lady. Dude, she's awesome. Her and her whole family, her husband, Ron, her kids. Shout out to her mom, which, a real quick story. No, her mom's actually an awesome lady, too. I was giving Jamie a little introduction at a fundraiser. I'm like, man, shout out to Jamie. Look at her kids here, her grandkids, dude, her husband. And I got kind of nervous because I'm not good at speaking in front of crowds. I'm really not. Like, I get stage fright like crazy, right? I'm being dead serious. Ask my friend Tammy Clark when I was getting ready to open up for Kyle Rittenhouse at that 2A rally. She'll tell you, I get nervous, but look, I forgot to give her mom a shout out. But no. Her that's why I'm giving her a shout out right now. But no, State Representative Jamie Thompson, if we had 110 like her, we'd be just fine right now. All right? We would. Now, some people don't like his votes on certain things. I get it. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, Senator Joe Bellino, he's my senator. Yeah. If we had 38 like that, we'd be just fine with the Second Amendment in Michigan right now. And some of you are like, dude, but my rep is this. Like my senator is Senator Pola Hanky Panky is what one of you are typing. I get it, man. I do. But what's tough is it's like you sit there and, you know, your representative or senator might be a complete piece of trash. Let's just put it bluntly. Or your state rep and senator might be totally awesome. And that's really good. You need to get behind them. That's why you call them. If you have a very pro Second Amendment representative. If your representative is Jim DeSena, if your representative is Riley Linting, okay, call them up because they're going to vote no on gun control, but you still need to call them and urge them and give them support. If your representative is Jason Wolford, all right, if your representative is Will Bruck, I mean, look, these are good 2A, but you still need to call them and support them and say, hey, this package of Senate bills better not see the light of day in that House no matter what. If there's enough of those representatives when they're in the caucus room, all right, when they're in the back room, when they're in the House floor, I'm aware of the fact, I believe anyways, I don't have access to it, but I'm under the impression they have a text messaging chain, okay, where all the House Republicans can get in a texting chain with each other. The Senate's likewise. You want it where your representatives in there on the text messaging chain, the email chains, in the caucus room, on the House floor, in the bathroom. Yes, I have talked about legislation while I'm at one urinal and the senator's in the urinal right next to me, and we're both looking straight ahead like straight guys do, and we're talking about a bill and the movement of it at the urinal. So look, when they're talking in the urinals to each other, in the elevator, you want your 2A defending representatives to hear you loud and clear and say, no, none of this crap better not make it through the House. And even if Matt Hall wanted some of this to go through the House. Now, Speaker Hall, I'm not saying you want this to pass, but you might want this to pass the House because you voted for gun control last session. See how that works? You voted for gun control last session, dude. But even if he did want some of this stuff to go through, you get enough reps saying, not so much there, buddy, then that could help us. So there's a chance to stop this stuff in the House. There is. Okay, this one's crazy. And you could go into it for hours. I'm not going to do that. This is the Senator McMorrow bill. Of course, yet again, you see Polahanky, Schink, Chang, Irvin, Wojno, Bayer, Kleinfeld, Kavanaugh. Some of these people, I don't even know where they come from. You guys can use phonetics and guess where they come from. Where do these people come from? Does anybody know? We'll get into this. This is where all guns must be serialized. There's a lot to this. It's very, very thick. What's up, Sergey Petrenko? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. Thanks for the generous super chat, man. I haven't seen you since that Kyle Rittenhouse event, actually. He says, I hope you're doing well. Well, thank you, man. I hope you are too. My friend Sergey. Nice to see you, Sergey. He says, I closed my range. Can't afford to keep it open. Really, dude? Like the whole gun shop too? Like all of it? Dude, we are in like a huge gun buying slump right now. Dude, the industry's like rock bottom. People are like selling stuff below cost. I know. I've been hearing it from lots of people. I mean, I don't know as intimately as you, obviously, but I hope your other business is doing good, man. I hope you and your family are still doing well, you know. But nice seeing you, Sergey. Man, Sergey is a longtime friend of the channel. Nice to see you. 2A EDU's talking to a Russian. Ooh. Oh, yeah. What's happening, Sergey? How you doing? Somebody said that once. They're like, because Sergey's been a regular off and on in the chat for years now. They're like, 2A EDU, you said my good friend Sergey, do you know people from Russia? I'm like, well, yeah, Sergey. He's a good dude, you know? You got to tick off these Democrats somehow, right, Sergey? First thing I says, I'm like, dude, I want some Russian AKs. Now, he's an American, guys. He's just, well, his name's Sergey. Of course, he's from Russia. But shout out. Colin L with a super chat. Thanks, Colin. I appreciate you, dude. Us Youpers need to get together and help the effort. No, I agree, man. Like Greg Markinen, if you're watching, Greg, representative, like I say first names because, look, I just like to talk to these people like they're people. Are you guys the same way? Representative Markinen. Oh, he's a good dude, man. He watches a lot of the stuff that the channel does. He might be watching right now or on replay. You guys have some good ones up there. Yeah, UP. Thank you for doing that rallying cry. And shout out to all my Youper friends, man. You guys, no, you guys are a big, big movement. And you guys are almost like you're in a whole nother state. I get it. But at the same time, We had a Democrat, Jen Hill. Look, I'm not shaking my head from you guys at all. So trust me, Jen Hill got elected in the UP, but she did lose. She did lose. So that's a good thing. I couldn't believe it when I saw a Democrat representative in the UP last session. So I'm giving you that as some positive encouragement that you guys have been on the move up there. And that's very, very nice. He says, be nice to meet good-minded folks. Yeah, get together, guys. Hang out. Yes, I had a good time hanging out with lots of good pro-Second Amendment supporters. Man, I was hanging out with my county commissioner, Jay Heinzerling. You know, look, all these matter. I was hanging out with a couple guys from my township, right? Chris Collins, Kyle Bryant. And these people are local, elected, you know, public servants. Does anybody remember? I'm going to ask you guys a quick question before I skim through this. This is when the 2A Edu channel was very young. It's still a small channel. So I don't want to say when it was a small channel. We're still a very small channel, but even a little bit smaller than it is now. I did a video with a county commissioner named Greg Moore Jr. Does anyone remember that? Just chime in. And he was at that time putting forth the first Second Amendment sanctuary county resolution in the whole state of Michigan. And I went to his house and covered it, and we did a little interview discussion about it. And then I continued to cover that as it ended up promulgating through and did pass. So Greg Moore Jr., maybe the first, if not one of the very first couple people that we ever had on the channel that was in, you know, public service. And I saw Greg Moore Jr. I saw Greg Moore Jr. last Saturday. And some of you guys that are news like, who's that? Well, he's a county commissioner in Monroe County, and I saw him, and it was good to see him. And yeah, you gotta literally keep track of all of these people on all of these different levels. Does anybody know about Laura Perry for state representative? Now, I met her very briefly, okay? I did end up getting her number, and I'm going to talk to her soon and see if she wants to maybe come on the show. Because, look, she was like the guest of honor, right? It was a fundraiser event for her campaign, and she's trying to take over a seat that's very narrowly held by a Democrat named Reggie Miller for the Michigan House. So let me know if you know anyone about Laura Perry. And I only met her for 30 seconds, guys. I did pay for a ticket for my wife and my daughter to go to the event because, look, I wanted to go to the event, hear what was being said about the Second Amendment. I can't say that I support her yet because I haven't had a one-on-one conversation long enough with the Second Amendment. But I will tell you this, and this is how I am. Ask Jamie. Jamie introduced me to her, and she had like 5 people wanting to walk up, take a picture with her. She has little kids, toddlers, and the one was crying for mom. So it's kind of like, I get it. We don't have time to talk now. But Jamie's like, I just want to introduce you to Micah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the Second Amendment. I said, I'd like to talk to you when you get time. Because look, when somebody's the host of an event and there's like 500 people there, and there were that many people there, everybody wants to shake her hand, give her encouragement, get her picture taken. I get it. She was the belle of the ball. So I do not take that as even a teeny bit of a slight. She didn't have time to have a 1 minute, 10-minute, half-hour conversation. But if you guys want to know more about her, Laura Perry for state representative, if she was willing and if she's available, I would definitely be willing to offer her an invitation to come on this channel. So please chime in the chat and in the comments if you're watching on replay, because I want your feedback. But I said Second Amendment. She goes, Second Amendment? What's there to talk about? And I'm kind of like, because that could be like really, really good or really, really bad, right? She's like, yeah, it shall not be infringed. There should never even be a discussion. I'm like, okay, I think I like this lady. So that's my conversation I had with her. And that's how all of this starts. I'm giving you guys like behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. I'm like, okay, so this might be a good one. Saw lots of old friends there. Like people from my hometown, right? Like people that live just like practically next door to me were there. And people from my daughter's school where my wife works. It was kind of cool hanging out with a bunch of normal people. So that's why, to dovetail on what Colin just said, be nice to meet good-minded folks. And I want to reiterate that, guys. Look, I get a little black pill sometime. Unless you're literally stupid, you kind of have to be nowadays, right? You just got to call a spade because a lot of this stuff, quite frankly, is BS. But it did remind me. It really did. By going to that Laura Perry for state representative kickoff fundraiser event, Senator Jonathan Lindsay was there. The other ones I just talked about, senators, governor candidate Eric Nesbitt. Just remember that, guys. Think about it when it comes closer. But running for governor, Eric Nesbitt, look, he let your boy into the most prestigious event that they have, so I could represent the Second Amendment, the state of the state. I was not going to be invited. The Michigan Senate Police were not going to let me come in. So that kind of shows you where Senator and Governor candidate Eric Nesbitt stands. And I'm not officially saying 100% who I'll be excited about to vote for governor, but I talked to him yet again. So that's how you build relationships, though. You just walk up and you're like, oh, Laura Perry, well, how do you do? Nice to meet you. You're too busy to talk, but I'd like to talk to you about the Second Amendment. Talk about what? There's nothing to talk about. Shall not be infringed. Like, why would you even? I'm like, I think I like this lady. That's how you meet people. And like you said, Colin, it was nice to be in a room where there was hundreds of people in there. If there wasn't 400 people in there, there was 500. Like I said, so many old friends, new friends. Met a really cool guy named Phil Peters, who I had talked to in the past. I shouldn't say it's the first time we met, Phil, if you're watching, but he's a longtime viewer of the channel. And he's now working with some of the representatives who I know and that I like. So I shouldn't have said I met Phil, because we have met literally, but I got his business card right here where I can give him a call. And he's a guy that's helping to promote the Second Amendment in Michigan via the House of Representatives and all this. And I just sat there and thought about it. And I'm like, well, dude, I'm with my beautiful wife, my lovely daughter. Of course, I had a good time. But then also it was just like, dude, it's so nice once in a while. And please listen to me, guys, if you can do it. It's so nice just to go hang out with a whole room full of normal people sometimes. Everybody was cool as heck in there. Everyone was just chill. Everyone was having a good time. There's no way everyone could have agreed on everything, of course. But like, dude, everyone you saw was like cool as heck, talking about stuff, talking about life. Just everyone I saw, great conversations. And it's like this world just sucks so bad. And there's all these scumballs, including ones that are in the Michigan Senate, right here, and all these people. But there are some good ones out there. Good-looking people. Have you guys ever noticed that? You literally go to like a conservative event or a pro-Second Amendment. Dude, like good-looking people too. Nice. Just really, really, really good time. And I do encourage all of you to go hang out with people that are just like-minded. Some people were there because they're Laura Perry for state representative all the way. Me? I don't know for sure. I was there too. Ask her about the Second Amendment. If you don't believe me, you guys can ask my favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson. You can say, Jamie Thompson, did 2A EDU show up in his blue landscaping shirt? Okay. And his gray pants. This is like the sunscreen, cool, dry material. Like when you sweat in it, it actually cools you off, I did. And I was wearing my work boots. But here's the difference, though. I'm going to read this super chat in 1 second, Mike Reeves. Look, I was out planting shrubs today and digging old ones out. This is how almost all of them look, and I own like dozens of them at this point. I put on a brand new one to go to the event. But yeah, why do I go to these things? Well, not even like a political at all. Like, I never want to run for office. I'm actually like disenchanted with all political parties, and I hate the dichotomy that it's blue versus red. Look, I don't like, but there are some good people though. And I wanted to go there and hang out with just different friends. And when I say friends, I don't just mean like senators and representatives. No, dude, like just all kinds of random friends that I know around town, right? That were there. And yeah, I literally went there and to ask the representative, hopefully the representative compared to that Democrat. Look, I hope Laura Perry's very pro Second Amendment. And I hope she wants to come on the show. I just haven't had a chance to officially invite her yet because I've been too busy out there trying to get jobs done this week. But yeah, I will do that. I've been known to do that more than once. Sometimes I wear my suit when I go to Lansing and on certain events. Sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm going to show up in my work clothes with my work boots on just because. See if this person will still look at me with a straight eye in my work clothes. And if they do, hey, there's some promise because that means they're a regular person that wants to run for office. And then if they still treat me respectable when I'm literally like, everyone's like wearing a suit and tie and you show up in your work clothes. It's like, no, there's reasons we do this. And then like, hey, let's talk about the Second Amendment. So yeah, That's where I meet a lot of people and get a lot of my leads. And then, of course, I'm talking to Jim DeSena, Representative DeSena, Representative Brock, Representative Thompson, Senator Bellino, Senator Nesbitt, Senator Lindsay. Like I said, township clerk, township trustee, county commissioners, a couple of county commissioners actually. Henry Levens, who was a county commissioner. I hadn't seen him in a few years either. Said hi to him. He's a Monroe County commissioner. But look, Senate Bill 331. You guys know, I hope by now, this is my long format. This is a live stream. This is like this is really thick, but the people of the state of Michigan enact Section 14C, except as otherwise provided in this section, persons shall not do any of the following: knowingly manufacture, assemble, cause to be manufactured or assembled, import, purchase, sell, offer to sell, or transfer ownership of any firearm that is not imprinted with a valid serial number. This subdivision does not apply to a person that complies with subsection 3. Okay, but then, okay, B, knowingly import, purchase, sell, offer to sell, or transfer ownership of any ghost gun precursor. Dude, that could be a piece of plastic. That could be so many things. We've been on for almost an hour. This is 3D printers. I'm going to do some standalone videos on this stuff. I think that's the best way to do this. Mike Reese with a super chat and a channel member. Thank you. Generous $25. He says, but now let the one who has a money bag take it, and likewise a knapsack. And let the one who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one or two. God bless us all. Stand as one or fall forever. Thank you for the generosity, man, and for the words of encouragement. Yeah, that's in the chapter of Luke, right? Luke 22. I think it's Luke chapter 22. Sell your cloak and buy a sword. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And yeah, man, we can either stand together or we'll certainly hang separately. Thank you for the encouragement and for being a sponsor of tonight's live stream. Dude, this is going to go after you if you manufacture 5 or more firearms, completed or unfinished frames or receivers in a calendar year for personal use, using a 3-dimensional printer or computer numerical control milling machine, so CNC. To manufacture or assemble any firearm or completed or unfinished frame or receiver in this state, it goes after what they call a precursor. This is thought crime. This could just be a chunk of plastic, a machining of steel, or a forging of aluminum, steel, whatever. It would prohibit you from knowingly allow, facilitate, aid, abet, or cause the manufacture or assembling of a firearm or completed or unfinished frame or receiver by a person who's prohibited from possessing a firearm or completed or unfinished frame or receiver under state or federal law. So you might be banned from owning a gun, but if you have a piece that could later be turned into one. Now, this does not apply to literally an antique. And when I said antique earlier, I was using more of the layman's term. By statutory definition, if it's an antique, right, meaning 1898 or older, pre-1899, guns are not legally firearms. So if it's literally classified as an antique, it doesn't apply. But what if you have a gun that was made in 1899 that doesn't have a serial number? Well, the Gun Control Act came around in 1968, and that's what mandated that frames and receivers and etc. have to have serial numbers, right? Now, with the exception, state laws may vary, no legal advice, but privately made. And again, some states don't allow that at all. But the Second Amendment does, but that doesn't seem to matter to these people anymore. But there's a lot of very, very old guns, and in your mind, you would call it antique, but it might not legally be, meaning it's not pre-1899. That's a long time ago. Your firearm could be 126 years old. Not an antique. You guys are following me, right? There's a statutory definition of antique. And that's going to be different criteria where the ammunition's no longer available in the normal commercial trade avenues. And This thing's 9 pages long. A lot of these, they just added a couple sentences, which does a lot, but I'll just flip through this. And then we did reach 5 super chats, which I appreciate. And I will spend a few minutes with you all if you have any questions. So this is all the new wording. I did give you the highlights of it, though, in all fairness, just now. But there's a lot to it. Here's the back side of that page. Look, this is all bold-faced. So this is literally 9 full pages of gun control that would criminalize, if you wanted to put it bluntly, unserialized firearms. However, it's a lot more than that. I mean, they're talking about precursors. They're talking about an unfinished frame or receiver means a forging, casting, printing, extrusion, machine body, or similar item that does either of the following. Designed to be readily completed, assembled, or otherwise converted to function as a frame or receiver, is marketed or sold to the public to become or be used as the frame or receiver once completed. Variants thereof. I mean, there's... Yeah. Undetectable firearms. It's going to reestablish undetectable firearm laws in Michigan. Here's the deal. The committee hearing is tomorrow, meaning on June the 5th at noon in the Senate building. All right. Actually, this is in the Capitol building. I'm sorry. In the Capitol building. This is the Michigan Senate. They're going to try to cram this stuff through. Yes, the House is controlled by Republicans, some of which have voted for gun control in the past. I'm not going to tell you that certainly these will pass through the House. In fact, I'd like to tell you all they probably won't pass through the House. The only reason I'm not telling you that, even though I would bet they probably won't all pass through the House. However, the narrow Republican-controlled Michigan House. However, I know how the gun community can be. Now, not my viewers, not all of them, but maybe a couple of them. Maybe 1 or 2 of my viewers have known to be like, the coast is clear. I don't have to pick up the phone. It's just so much effort to send an email. It's so much effort to call, tell your friends. You know, I don't want people to be complacent because we had Democrats introducing gun control in the last session. And we had some Republicans that voted for it. So as soon as you think that there's no way possible a Republican could ever vote for gun control, well, you're wrong. And I'm not just calling out these people in the Michigan House, but I'm calling them out in the United States Congress, the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, John Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, 16 other Republican senators, Mitch McConnell. I mean, you guys know by now, right? And if you don't, that means you're new to this channel, and welcome. Good to have you here. If you watch this channel, you guys know what I think of a lot of these SOBs. Look at me. It's this simple, man. You know, you believe the Second Amendment says what it says, or you don't. There's really no but. There's no comma. There's no whatever. It's just you believe in shall be infringed or you don't. And since the Second Amendment's the supreme law of the land, you either love America or you hate America. To me, there's really nothing to talk about. I think this Laura Perry might be a good candidate. Because I've asked a lot of people, more than you even want to know. I'm like, oh, you're running for office. Or maybe they're running for re-election or for the first time. And I'm like, hello, my name's Micah, 2AE to you. Now, usually, a lot of times, dude, Jamie Thompson, she's like an awesome friend to have for a bunch of reasons. Like, she's really cool, great representative, but she gives the best introduction ever. Like, everybody likes her so much. Now, a lot of people like me too, but people like her more than me and more than most people I know. Dude, everyone likes her so much that when she introduces you, they're immediately like, oh, well, if you're friends with Jamie, by all means, now you're friends. So she's introduced me to so many people, right? So she introduces me, and I'm like, look, I know you're really busy, ma'am. You know, Laura Perry's her name. I'm like, I know you're really busy. And her like 2-year-old's like crying, mom, mom, mom. I mean, they were troopers. She has little kids, right? Talked to her husband briefly. He seems like a heck of a dude. I think he's like a lineman that works for DTE or something. This is like a blue collar type family. And she runs and owns a sporting goods store in town. So that's a little bit about him. But not a lot of people say that, which is pretty cool. I'm like, when you get time, I'd like to talk to you about the Second Amendment. And she says, what's there to talk about? I'm like, ooh, I might like this lady a little bit. I think she So, but yeah, we should have her on the show if you guys want and see what she thinks. Rescue Nut, channel member and a super chat. Thank you, Rescue Nut. He says, grab a coffee on me and thanks for all the footwork you go through to bringing us info. Well, you're welcome, man. I appreciate it. And Rescue Nut and all these other channel members I'm seeing in here, I am going to post a picture in a little bit that's so cute. You guys are going to absolutely love it because it's got our favorite state representative in it, which I posted to the public, a picture of me and Jamie, because you guys need to know I'm out there. I mean, trust me, I'm talking to her husband, Ron, on the phone. I'm like, dude, I'm going there to hound these people about the Second Amendment. He's like, dude, you better. And then I was just texting him. If you're still watching, shout out, Ron. Ron's an awesome dude, man. But look, he's like really smart too. He's awesome. I wouldn't want to have him on my bad side, you know, but that's good though. I like that. You wouldn't want him on your bad side, but he's a cool dude. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, Ron, I'm gonna give these Republicans in the House some crap. He's like, you better, dude. But no, so I'm there. Trust me, talking to these people about the Second Amendment. And then the cutest little girl you guys have ever seen took a picture of with her state representative. That's the teaser, and I will have that up for all of you guys here shortly. All right, do you guys have any questions? Do you have any questions? And I will. Dude, someone's going to come in on replay and shout out to the replay crew and be like, cut to the chase, get to the point. It doesn't take an hour and 15 minutes. No, of course it doesn't. That's why I started out and said, look, I'll do shorter videos going through these when these all pass through the committee tomorrow. Well, look, I don't know if they will or not, but if when these pass through the committee, I'll go through. Because really what I'm trying to get you guys to advocate for right now is not to try to convince these Democrats to change their mind. They ain't going to change their mind. I want you to start talking to all your pro-Second Amendment senators and all of your pro-Second Amendment Michigan representatives and saying, hold the line, representative, stonewall this thing, make it dead on arrival. You know what I mean? That's my message tonight. But someone will say, it doesn't take an hour and 20 minutes. You know what, though? Here's the problem, man. This whole world's crazy, and it's so messed up in so many ways. It's like, dude, we broke the news. I think within the first 5 minutes of this video, we broke the news, right? And then I'm like, dude, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to opine on this. Because you know what makes me like feel really lonely? Whenever you just sit there and you're like, dude, am I the only one? Like, am I the only one that actually gets this? And that's why I have this channel. And that's why I do these longer format streams. No, you're not the only one. I get it. And there's a lot of really awesome people who have been in the chat tonight and will show up in the comments too that are good people. And I want you guys to know each other are there. I want to give us a place where we can sit and talk with normal people. And it's like, dude, you know, I work my butt off all day and life sucks and then you die, but you should try to make the best of it in the meantime. And it's like, dude, maybe I just feel like hanging out with my friends online for an hour, you know? But yeah, invariably that will happen. Trust me. Get to the point. Why is this video an hour and 20 minutes long? They won't watch it though. They'll just see it's that long, but we got to it really quickly. Now I'm just hanging out with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to show you something real quick here. You guys have been looking forward to this. This is for the diehards. Right? Word Up Russia? Hold on. Word Up Russia says 2A EDU. Isn't the 2A only as strong as those who will defend it? Absolutely. Yeah. If not, you know what it is, dude? It's a beautiful piece of weathered parchment paper that was signed with a quill dabbing from an inkwell by brave men who did have the balls to actually stand up and do something. But look, if nobody's there to do anything, then what good is it, you know? No, you're right. Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, like I said earlier, and I meant it. There's lots of good people in this chat right now and lots of smart people. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man? He said, I love the longer conversation shows. Well, cool. All right, here's the thing. You know, I mean, wait a minute. Is someone calling me old? Hold on a minute. How old are we? How old do you guys think I am? No. Little Bastards Racing says, sad part is it's only the older generations that are actually fighting for the 2A. No, I hear you, man. I'm old. I am, actually. I mean, I get it. I'm getting older. I shouldn't say I'm old, but I'm sure getting older every day, right, Robin Sage? Right, MC Joe. What's up, MC Joe? What's up, Richard Denny? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Oh, wait. For what it's worth, love the long content. Well, cool. Well, look, dude. You can't make everybody happy all the time, you know? They still like the channel, though. They'll complain. Even though I do have a new rule. Did you guys know about that on this channel? No whiners. People that come in and whine, I'm just like, no whine. No whining. I haven't seen anybody whine or say one crossword all night tonight. All right, here's the moment you've all been waiting for. You guys, ooh, 2 people just left the chat. They'll be back in a minute. Trust me. This is what brings them all in. All right, you guys getting ready for this? Remember earlier I talked about any of you feeling very prideful right now? What do you think, Dale? Are you feeling prideful? Hold on a minute. Can't do anything with a cereal. Now, hold on a minute. Whoa. This is Stephanie Chang, state senator. Look at this. Wow. Wow. Dude, this is one of those moments I'm like, where am I? What's going on? Chang. Stephanie Chang. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very stereotypical sound effect. Stephanie Chang, senator, chair. So I'm like, well, let's go see what she has to do with the Second Amendment. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm looking at this. And I have no idea. I'm not going to judge her soul. And I feel it would be a sin to do so. But I'm just sitting here. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute now. How is this Christian woman? You guys know what I'm saying. Just look. I saw it at the corner of my eye. I'm like, how is this devout Christian woman trying to grab our guns? Because, you know, it's a bad rainstorm out there here right now. And I'm thinking of, wow. She's literally posting God's rainbow to remind us, as he did Noah and his, that he would never flood the world again. And by the way, the Bible does promise Jesus is coming back. Don't forget that. But he's not gonna end the world with a flood. The rainbows are promised. Like, wow, okay. And then I look, you read left to right, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, that's not God's rainbow, which that's the only rainbow I recognize. It's the only one that I think is legit, by the way. Oh, look, I'm just telling you guys, that's what I believe in. If you believe other, that's fine with me. I'm just saying, that's what I believe. It's God's rainbow. And these people need to get their hands off of it. But then it says celebrating Pride Month, and I'm like, oh. But pride's a sin, you know? This is Senator Stephanie Chang, state senator. This is the committee chairman, though. This is the committee chairman. This is the one that puts this on the agenda. Sarah Leitner is the committee chair of the Michigan House of Representatives. If you guys want to know and want to call her office, she's the one that could put Jim DeSantis' red flag repeal package. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the video's on this channel with the representative that introduced it. It was a good video with me and the representative, actually. So, you know, I mean, celebrating Pride Month. I figured you'd all want to see this. The typical mixed race family here. Typical for the Democrat propaganda. I stand with Michigan first responders. I doubt it. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Oh, there she is. Wow. Wow, man. See, here's the problem. These people that are so hateful for guns, ooh, I'm going to be as polite as I can, but Senator Chang isn't looking too hot lately. Wow. Man, all of that grief and hate towards guns is taken a toll on her. Yeah. Wow. It's taking its toll on you, sweetheart. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. It's not good when they get mad. It's like they always have that scowl. Have you noticed that? When they sit there like this and they're always just and they're ready. Look, I'm trying to be as polite as I can. I would not call her ugly, guys. I wouldn't do it. Okay, I would not call her ugly. I'm just saying, man, all that hatred is not, she's not looking so, I mean, Somebody has to know what I'm trying to get at here. I mean, look, these are people that are trying to destroy our country. These are people going after the Second Amendment. All right. I mean, I wouldn't say she's ugly, guys. I wouldn't do it. I'm too nice for that. This channel is too nice, but wow. I mean, like I said, you can't make this up. I go to this basically conservative event, right? Lots of good friends there. Like I said, people from around town, across the state, what have you. Lots of awesome people. Good looking people everywhere you look. It's like, wow, dude, everyone here's just good looking and they're nice. And then you go to like, you look at the Democrat caucus and you're like, whoa, I would not say these are not good looking people. But look, they're not, though. They're not good looking on the inside. That's what I'm getting at. It's just that nastiness and hatred, it just takes its toll on you. It really, really does. It's not healthy. These are not healthy things. M. Gabriel says 2A EDU. I prefer the long 2A writes monologues. Well, you're welcome, man. Thank you. Vince Metzger, what's happening, dude? He says she's paying a price. I mean, I think that's what that is. I think it's just like they just scowl in there. Have you seen how mean she is too? She can get mean. I've seen her, in my opinion, she's been mean to witnesses before. Pro Second Amendment witnesses in her committee. She can be very, very harsh. These people have a silver tongue. Keep that in mind. Am I in my late 40s? Wow, that depends how you look at it. What's happening, Paul Bennett? How you doing? Colin L, 42. You guys are in the ballpark. I will say that. You guys are a little bit closer, though. Well, late 40s, that depends. You know what I'm going to do, Jane? What's happening, Jane Locke? How you doing? I'm going to do the old Bill Clinton. Remember that? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Then they had him pinned down. He was getting ready. He was impeached. He was getting ready to be removed, maybe go to prison, maybe worse. And it all hung down to where we almost have him. The judge was ready to slam the gavel down. And then they said, well, what is the crime that you committed, Mr. President? Do you guys remember this? And he said, well, that depends on what the definition of the word is. And I knew our country was in trouble. And they're like, oh, well, absolutely, sir. With an answer like that, you're innocent. You're acquitted. He was going to be in big trouble. And that's literally what he said. Depends on what the definition of the word is. And I'm like, oh, well, there's no way he's going to get by with this. I knew that as a teenager when I was watching this crap. And they're like, acquitted, innocent. There's nothing to see here. Right, Jane? You remember this. I mean, I'm just saying. I know. Why don't we have Jane says, well, why do they get a whole month? Veterans get a day. We'll try to figure that out for a minute. Maybe you can ask Senator Chang about it. She would know. She knows what's best for you. When are we going to have White Christian Conservative Male Month? I mean, why not? I mean, why wouldn't you have that, actually? You have all of them. They all have everything. I'm just saying. Now, dogs against the ATF. He says, he's thanking God it's not a picture of Senator Slobkin. Ooh. Miss CIA herself. Oh, these people are a mess. Trust me. These people are a mess. Ooh, what does the brown in the flag represent? Hold on a minute. Is there brown in the flag? Typical, like I said, mixed race family, always, no matter what. Which, hey, shout out to all of you if that's what you're into. I'm just saying it's always got to be that way, though, in every picture they post. That's all I'm getting at. It's every picture they post. All right. Did you guys have any questions? Or random guy from us? What's up? Oh, here's a question. Okay. Heike DTW can't sell without a cereal. Yeah, that's part of that. Yeah, that's the Senator McMorrow bill. Yeah, and then the last one, I guess, the Senate bill 332. That's just to amend the criminal code. Okay. That amends the criminal code for the firearm without a receiver. Or the firearm or receiver without a serial. Without a serial. You know. But this is what, makes it. These are prison sentences, too, for all of these. These are pretty heavy duty. What's your question, MC Joe? I'm going to get off in just 1 second here. What's it say about serialized firearms that you already own? Well, there's a whole thing to it. If you're just going to own it and not do anything with it. Is that what you're wondering about? We'll get into it further. It's a 9-page bill that's very, very circular. I believe, and this is just my opinion right now, trying to address it all, I believe there might be a bit of grandfathering for that, but there are other restrictions too, though. So I'm loath just to give a carte blanche, and again, no legal advice, guys. See, because there's it's not simple. That's what's so tough, and that's a good question, man. But here's the problem. So when you're going through this subsection 3, which is your exemption, so 3, there's certain criteria, and I'll just read a couple paragraphs just to put this into context. The possession and disposition of a firearm or any completed or unfinished frame or receiver by a person that meets all of the following. 1, the person is not prohibited by the state or federal law from possessing. 2, the person possessed the firearm or any completed or unfinished frame or receiver no longer than was necessary to deliver it to a law enforcement agency. So I guess you'd be allowed to own it for a short period of time till you can get it there. If the person is transporting the firearm or any completed or unfinished firearm or receiver, the person is transporting it to a law enforcement agency in order to deliver it to the agency. Disposition according to law. So I guess if you're handing it over to the cops, the possession or importation of a firearm or any completed or unfinished frame or receiver by an individual moving into this state who not later than 90 days. Okay, and then there's another part where you have 18 months. I hate to be this guy, but it's complicated and it depends. Well, if this, will I be, it depends, okay? It's 9 pages long, right? All right, let me see if there's any last minute questions, and I need to run here because I still haven't had a chance to have dinner yet, and I didn't realize it was this late. They're definitely, AKI says, yeah, you go back to the beginning where I cut right to the chase. They are going after, I think the FRTs, they're calling it the bump stock ban, all right, which doesn't define bump stock specifically. It defines something totally different. I think they're up to something where I think if the Hearing Protection Act passes, the Michigan Democrats will, on the federal level, I believe the Michigan Democrats will try to cram through a silencer ban. I do. So I think they will be going after, quote, suppressors. Hey, you guys are pretty close, actually. Actually, Richard Denny, it's one of those two that he just said. See? And yeah, Slick Willie, he didn't inhale. I did not inhale. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. They're so raspy. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping things can start getting a little better. I hear you, Mike. What's up, Bill Alexander? Nice to see you, dude. Fluffy Bunny Arsenal. I'll take a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch with mine. All right. I haven't had dinner yet, so don't talk about food. Yeah. That's actually a good song. Little Bastards Racing. Because all I got to say is when it comes down to it, when they come to get mine, they better bring theirs. That's a song. It's worded opposite, right? Of that. But you guys know the song I'm talking about? Rosie A. What's happening, Rosie? She says, I hear you about writing or calling our reps, and honestly, I get blank brain when it comes to talking to people about important things. Do you have some sort of template we could customize? No, not in writing, but it's actually this simple. You could call your Michigan rep and say, I want you to strongly oppose Senate bills. Okay. Michigan Senate bills 224, 225, 226, 331, and 332, should they come up for vote. It could be that simple. You can literally just read them the name of the Senate bills, or if they're House bills, those House bills. You could also be even more generic than that. Be like, I urge and expect you to be a staunch defender of the Second Amendment regarding any legislation. You know, you could do that. But just name the bills and tell them whether you support or oppose. This stuff you would want them to oppose. You would, I hope, want them to support Jim DeSantis' red flag repeal bills. Video on this channel if you want to be brought up to speed on that. Ego Riser, I thought Michigan didn't have a Democrat majority anymore. They absolutely do in the Michigan Senate, and that's where these are at. And as we discussed earlier, the Michigan House of Representatives is Republican majority. However, some Republicans, including the current Republican Speaker of the House, has voted for gun control anymore. Has voted for gun control before. Will he anymore? I don't know. I have no idea how he votes on it, because so far they haven't put any of the gun control repeal up for vote. So I have no idea if he's pro Second Amendment or if he's not, or, well, I'm going to assume he's not, because that was the last. I just don't know. I'm not telling you guys this is law either. I've never said that. I just said this is getting heard in a Michigan Senate committee, and this is how bills become laws. And there's other people that you've never even heard of that change gender roles and all this in these bills, and it's all part of it. All right. Yes, thank you, Robin Sage. Go watch from the beginning if you need the details, or wait for the standalone videos. But fight. No, you're correct. And I try to be too nice of a guy and answer everyone as they're coming in. Go watch the beginning of the video, guys, or wait for the standalone. And thank you, Robin Sage, for bailing me out on that. Creed Fisher. There you go. Creed Fisher did that song. You better bring yours if you're going to take mine. There you go. JJ McKay, 6-man one. Yes. Thank you. And I saw I got 2 more super chats at the last minute. DB Cooper. Well, thank you for the super chat, DB. I appreciate you, man. He says, fight fun. Well, thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And I'm in the fight. Getting ready to jump off and go eat dinner, but I am in the fight, and I appreciate the generous super chat. And then Colin L. Thank you again for another super chat. And he says, you're really old. I know. I mean, I'm not really old. Let's just say that. But yeah, I get it, dude. I know. I know. All right. I'm going to jump off here, and I will see you all again very soon. All right. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.